listeners, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a fun tag that was created by Soraya over at 90s LoveChild. I'm going to link her video down below. She created this tag. Certainly go and check out the originating video and give her some support as well. I get such a kick out of her. I love her personality. I love that she is just unapologetically herself. I think she's got a ton of really deep, insightful things to say about makeup and the beauty community as a whole. I just really enjoy her content. So please, if you haven't checked her out, please go and do so. But she has created the beauty consumer tag, and I thought it was really interesting because it takes it beyond just, what's your favorite eyeshadow or this or that, and really looks at the actual consumerism side of it and the purchasing of makeup and where your habits are. And some of the questions, I feel a little personally attacked. I'm not, but when I'm looking deep to answer these things honestly, I think I have some evaluating to do of my own behaviors. So let's just dive straight into it. The first question is, how much do you spend on makeup in a month, in a year? My husband watches my channel, so answering this honestly is a little bit scary, but we have a joint account, so he sees what goes in, he sees what goes out. It depends on the month, it really does, and with my income, because I'm self-employed, it fluctuates. I'm not on a salary, I don't have a set amount, so budgeting means different things in different months. So there's no real set amount, I haven't set an actual monthly budget for myself, although that is something that I'm thinking about doing for 2020, just for some guidance, because there are some bigger ticket items that I want to save towards that are going to be more meaningful and more long lasting than a lipstick. So on average, I would say about 200. Not every month, some months more, some months definitely less, but I would say on average, that's sort of where I'm at. In the course of a year, given all those fluctuating months, I know for sure it's well over 1,000 because I hit rouge disgustingly early in the year. So I'm gonna say 3,000 to 4,000 in a year. And that's on all things beauty. So not just makeup products, but storage items, skincare, that kind of thing. I consider that all to be under the same umbrella. That just kind of sounds like justification at this point, but that's pretty much where I'm at. I think, if I'm being completely honest, probably closer to the 4,000 mark. Which is kind of disgusting when you say it out loud, but let's be honest, it is what it is. Question number 2, do you ever feel guilty about how much you spend on makeup? I have a really hard time answering that. Because on the one hand, when you look at the grand total over the course of a year, that's a scary number. And yeah, I feel guilty because that could be better spent towards other things. But as I make individual purchases, I typically don't. I'm getting to the point now where I'm more aware of when I'm going to feel buyer's remorse, and then I just X out of the window and don't place my order. So I did it recently with a Tom Ford palette. I had it all set up, ready to go, and then I was I know that I'm going to regret this. So I just didn't bother submitting the order. So I look at it this way, when I'm buying makeup, I'm not making the choice of, do I forgo a box of diapers for the toddler in order to buy this palette? Or are we going to be eating ramen for the entire week so that I can afford this purchase? I'm not taking away from my family in that way. What I'm taking away from really is savings. And I do feel somewhat guilty about that because Barry and I do have the goal of purchasing a house within realistically 2 years at this point. So I do feel guilty in that sense, but only somewhat. Like, I'm not racked with guilt. I don't wake up at night thinking like, oh my God, I regret that so much. I don't have that kind of sense of it. We've become more financially secure over the last couple of years, whereas, you know, 2 years ago, if I dropped $100 on makeup, I would feel like sick to my stomach. And now, not that I do it all the time, but if I do that, I know we're going to be okay. And I do it when I know we're going to have enough to get us through the month comfortably and still put stuff towards savings. That's been a big achievement of mine in 2019, is that I put towards savings before we start spending our money. So I get paid once a month. As soon as I receive my check, like, we pay what needs to be paid, and I put money into our savings account so that that's already taken care of. Whereas before, leading up to that, I've always looked at like, let's spend, and whatever's left over at the end of the month, then we'll put that into savings. And that just never works out because we spend everything and then there's nothing to put into savings. So this way, there's already money set aside. It's already out of our joint account. We don't have to worry about it, and then we can budget accordingly from there. So my guilt is tempered by that. So yes and no, I guess, is the on the fence answer to that question. The third question is, do you get FOMO, or fear of missing out, related to makeup releases? Yeah, I do. I'm getting a lot better about it. And I think the more awareness there is now about marketing strategies, I think FOMO is definitely starting to be reduced, I guess. Like, I don't think we're ever going to get rid of it entirely, but knowing that there are brands out there who purposely only release a small amount of existing products in order to sell out quickly, to build hype, like scarcity marketing, knowing more and more about that makes me take a bit of a seat and makes me take a breath before I really just jump right into a release. I think I'm getting better with it. And particularly around limited edition items, like, I'm really starting to think about long-term, what does it mean for me if I buy it? And now that I have my channel and it's sort of well established at this point, it's been running for 2 years, I don't really want to showcase limited edition items, because if it's something that I really love, what am I going to do with that information? I can share it with you guys, but then you can't get it, right? So, and also for myself, if I fall in love with something and use it all up and then I can't replace it, then I'm just frustrating myself. So I will buy limited edition items if I truly, truly want the item, but I don't buy it from the sense of, well, it's going to sell out really quickly. Let's move on to question 4, which is, do you purchase or keep items simply because they are limited edition? Well, I think I just accidentally answered that. I don't buy them simply because they're limited edition. I will buy them in spite of being limited edition, but putting that little LE behind it does not necessarily amp up my desire to have it, if that makes sense. Like, I purchase makeup based on each individual item. So if it's a highlighter and I'm really, really interested in it, whether or not it's limited edition, I will purchase it. But the fact that it is limited doesn't necessarily sway me one way or the other. Although I do take a breath and really think about, do I really want this? Am I going to get a lot of use out of it? Because of what I said in the previous answer, which is, down the road when it's no longer available, am I going to bust it out on camera? Or is it going to be part of my like everyday makeup that I reach for when I'm not filming? Question number 5 is, would you be willing to pay more money for a sold out product online? So for example, the Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson Conspiracy palette sold out in the blink of an eye. Would I go over to eBay and pay $150 for it or $200 for it? And the answer is no. I have never purchased like a sold out item at a marked up price. I am far too stingy for that. So while I am willing to spend money on makeup, I'm not willing to spend more than it's worth. And so when I know what a palette costs and then I see it at a dramatic markup on, say, eBay, I'm not inclined to purchase it that way. I would rather wait for a restock or just lick my wounds and move on from it rather than spend far more than it's actually worth. Number 6, do you wish you could spend more or less? Yeah, so that's an interesting question because on the one hand, I do wish that I could spend less. Like I wish that I could be successful at no buys. And I mean, the simple answer around that is just do a no buy. Just commit to it and don't do it. But to me, that's kind of akin to like, just stop eating as much to lose weight. You know what I mean? Like it's easier said than done, especially with the amount of like shiny, pretty things that are splashed in our face literally every day. There are new releases all the time. And I just don't have that kind of willpower, if I'm being perfectly honest. I really do admire people that can commit to no buys, and especially people that can commit to it for a full year. Like Hailey Evans is just coming up on the end of hers. You should definitely check her channel out. And I'm just amazed by it because she did it. You know what I mean? Like I say, yeah, I'm gonna have a low buy, and I'm like, that's gone after like 3 days. So I know that I would not be successful at a no buy, at least until I change my mindset around it. On the other hand, do I wish I could spend more? Sure, I would love to. I would love to be able to buy all the releases. Maybe not all of them, but you know what I mean? Like there's this Chantecaille holiday collection that I'm going absolutely bananas over. I think it's so beautiful. However, like one palette compact is like $124, $114 Canadian. That's a lot of coin. The lipsticks, I can't remember what they are in Canadian dollars, but they're like 51 each US. That translates to like over $60 Canadian for a single lipstick. So I would love to have the disposable income where I can just drop $500-$600 on a collection simply because it's beautiful and I think aesthetically it's really nice, but I'm not, like I don't have that luxury. So there are certain times where, yeah, I wish that I could just spend without consideration, but I don't regret it. I don't begrudge others who can. I don't, want to scale back on, like, I'm not going to take my daughter out of gymnastics and take my kids out of swimming so that I can free up funds to buy pretty Chantecaille items. You know what I mean? Like, it's all about balance for me. So I'm not jealous. I don't begrudge anybody what their budget is. It's all individual. I feel very grateful that I'm in the position that I can purchase most of what I want. And frankly, I think I'm a better person for not being able to just go out and buy everything that I want. I'm not spoiled. So I still have this sense of value. And when I do get something that is far more luxurious than what I would normally purchase, I value it and I appreciate it that much more. So I guess my answer to that question is yes and no. And I think if I spent less in most months, I could spend more in others, if that makes sense. Like, say no to a lot to say yes to a little. I like that idea. It's just implementing it is tricky because self-control. Question 7, do you feel compelled to buy something when you see it in someone else's collection? Yes, of course. Especially if it's something that I didn't even know existed. Like when I see somebody talking about, say, an indie palette that I think is absolutely stunning, of course I'm like, I need to look this up, I need to get this. I don't always end up buying it, but a lot of times I will end up at least looking at it, adding it to the cart, seeing what the conversion to Canadian rates are, seeing what the shipping costs are, all of that kind of thing. And it's usually the shipping costs that just like steer me around and make me double think my purchase ideas. But I never feel like, well, so-and-so has it, so I need it. Like I don't, from that perspective, I don't feel compelled. It's more so if somebody's showing something that I think is really pretty or looks really nice on them, then I'm going to want to go and look it up and buy it. But just simply because somebody has it, I don't feel compelled in that sense because I don't watch YouTube from a place of jealousy or keeping up with the Joneses or even one-upmanship. Like I buy what I want to buy and I haven't bought it because somebody else has, if that makes sense. All right, number 8, do you buy more during the holidays? I mean, in general, yes, because I'm buying presents and all that kind of stuff. But if we're talking specific to beauty, because this is the beauty consumer tag, I'm going to answer this in terms of, do I buy more makeup during the holidays? And that's hard to answer unless we define what the holidays are. Because really, if we look at Black Friday through to like New Year's, if we consider that the holiday season, then yeah, I go a little ham. And it's only because of the sales. And the problem with sales is that I end up spending more on sales than I would if I just bought items at full price. Because I'm like, well, it's such a good deal. So now I need to order from here, and I'm going to order from here, and I'm going to order from here. And if that sale aspect was taken out, and if that like mindset was removed, I would really think about what I was ordering and not looking at, well, it's such a good deal. So I have some awareness of it. I did a lot better this year than I did last year. But sometimes I find if you like open that floodgate a little bit, it just gets all blown to hell. And then I can like switch over into what I call fuck it shopping mode very quickly, which is, it's counterintuitive, counterproductive, but I'm just kind of like, well, I've already spent this much, so fuck it, what's a little bit more? And that's not a healthy mindset, but it is what it is. But during the holidays, I do find it difficult because I get like caught up in all of these deals and then in just the pattern of spending, because I'm buying gifts for so many people and things like that, that I'm just kind of like, well, what about me? I'll buy myself a treat. So yeah, I definitely spend more during the holidays. Number 9, have you ever hidden a makeup purchase from family or friends? Yes. Sorry, Barry, but yes, I have. Not so much from friends because my friends don't really give a crap, but I have hidden purchases from my husband. And again, he watches my channel, so now he knows. I haven't hid anything in a while, but yeah, I've snuck in Shoppers Drug Mart purchases in my purse before and then carried the items down when he's been upstairs or something of that nature. And it's stupid because, again, my husband wouldn't be like, I can't believe you bought another lipstick. Like, he knows how much lipstick I have. He knows. He knows it's redundant to go out and buy another red lipstick. And he wouldn't say anything negative about it, and he certainly like wouldn't give me trouble or put me in timeout or anything. We have a joint account. If he really wants to check what I'm spending, he can just go to the joint account. He sees everything that comes out of there. So I don't think that I would hide in future, but a couple of years ago, yeah, I have. Sorry, Bear. All right, so question number 10 is, do you have more than 10 products in your collection that you have not used in over a month? And I would say absolutely there are. In fact, I did a video very recently where I talked about makeup items that I don't use and yet I keep, and I think there was 10 of them in that video. And in addition to those 10 items, I'm sure there are a ton more. I know there are lip liners that I haven't used in ages. I know I have foundations that have just kind of sat there for months. Definitely lipsticks, most definitely eyeshadow palettes. I just have so many of them that I don't rotate quickly enough to use them all. And in fact, even if I like picked one for every week of the year, I think there would still be palettes at the end of the year that haven't been touched. That's just the nature of my makeup collection. So absolutely, there are definitely more than 10. There's probably more than 25 items, like, to be completely honest. Number 11, have you ever been pressured to purchase something you could not afford or did not need? I don't think so, unless it's like pressure that I've put on myself. Like, I've certainly never had a sales clerk try to sell me something that I hadn't expressed like a direct interest in. The only person who's ever been like, well, you should buy it if you like it, is my daughter. She's quite the enableist. But yeah, no, I don't think I have, unless I've like internalized seeing somebody else have something, like friggin' Pat McGrath palettes, like the larger ones. There are some that I've just definitely felt like I've wanted because I've wanted to review them and because I've wanted to have them and because they look so shiny and pretty. But that's not anybody who has ever said like, you have to buy this, like you need to buy this or else you're missing out. It's just something that I've internalized. Sometimes for the sake of my channel, I feel pressured because I want to buy an entire collection just to share my thoughts with you guys on it. But it's not anything that like you put on me. That's just something that, again, I'm internalizing. Question 12 is, do you purchase makeup for collector reasons? And I would say not really, but I don't want to like draw a hard no on that. I'm not necessarily a completionist, so if we stick with like say ColourPop as an example, they're monochromatic palettes. Like I didn't pick up the yellow, I didn't pick up the green or the blue, and I don't feel like I need to in order to complete the spectrum. Like I bought what intrigued me and what interested me, and I don't feel like I need to buy all the others just to have all of Roy Gabiv. Again, I think it kind of fits into the whole like, if I could spend more, then I would probably complete more sets. But from where I'm at in reality, no, and I'm okay with that. Like I'm totally fine with that. And that brings us to the last question, which is, in your makeup journey, have you become less or more consumeristic? And I think, if I'm being honest, I would say that I've become more consumeristic, despite the fact that I'm trying to improve in that regard and I'm trying to really make considered purchases. I think having a channel opens me up to buying more makeup because I want to test out new formulas. I want to share my ideas with you guys. I want to have conversations on these things. Like I do try, every time I buy makeup, I do try to ensure that I'm buying it mainly because I'm really interested in it personally, but then I also think a little bit beyond that and think, is it something that would make an interesting video for my subscribers as well? I do think that I buy more makeup now, but I also think that I'm buying more of what I really, really like, rather than just buying stuff for the sake of it being new. So although I am buying more, I'm finding that I'm less disappointed. All right. I don't think my response is going to get any more cogent than that. So let's wrap this video up here. Thank you, Soraya, for creating this tag. I had a ton of fun answering it, and I really enjoyed watching your video on it and hearing your responses as well. I'm not going to tag anybody in specific, but if you do this video, please let me know in the comments down below because I would love to check out what your responses are. I just think it's a really thought-provoking tag, and I thought it was really interesting, and I really liked her selection of questions, so I was happy to do it myself. Thank you guys, as always, for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next video. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.